Welcome to a Doin class. Doin is a really interesting form of exercise. You could also call it an activity. And I learned this really early on in my healing journey and my healing arts development. And I've learned many things since, and I knew a few things before. But in the end, I always go back to Doin because it's so fundamental and it has such a unique effect in how it works with the body, also works with the mind, and also how it integrates into the life system. So Doin it's an ancient practice to stimulate ki flow. And Do and In, something like harmony, of making harmony yourself. Different techniques that we use, like pounding techniques, tapping, massage. And in the advanced practice, there are some sound type of techniques, like chanting, but more specifically targeted usually for different organs and different meridians. And you have breathing exercises. I use these type of exercises to wake up in the morning, especially if you had a long night the night before. Sometimes during the day, if your energy starts to get low, there's certain things that you can do that will give you a quick pickup, and also to bring yourself to focus if you're working on a project where you really need to concentrate. I've gone into Asian restaurants and into different places, workplaces where there were Asian people, and I from time to time would see them briefly doing something that was very much like Doin, and then I realized that it's not only a separate form of exercise, as we will do today. I'm going to do a whole sequence, but it's also something you can just do briefly, quickly, within the life, within activities. You could just take a break. And so I've seen people doing some of these movements that are what we're calling Doin, and some type of tapping, which we're going to do to stimulate the energy flow. I find that Doin, it's a very good action step. Something that you can do for 5 minutes, even a minute. But sometimes when I have a morning that's free, like a Sunday morning, weekend morning, I could do an hour and a half. Because it's not really something that I always look at as like exercise. I'm looking at it like it's something that's fun to do, something that's playful to do. And I know when I work in that way and think in that way, first of all, it's easier to do it. And the results are also, I think, more stimulating and more inspiring. So I want to also encourage everyone that don't make exercise, whether it's Doin or other forms that you use, don't make it a task. Don't make it something you have to do, but find the way in, to the entry point, to make it fun. Make it a game, make it a challenge. And it stimulates different things, like I said, that you're trying to do within the life. And we want to make change a lot of times, or we want to produce something like a goal. And one of the things that you'll find if you read about, achieving goals, achieving different possibilities in your life, is that it's good to plan, it's good to think, it's good to dream, it's good to imagine, but action steps, things that are physically actionable, really help to move the chi in that direction. So whether it's people that are wanting to make some kind of balancing in their weight, in their financial situation, relationships, in their environment, when you add this chi moving actionable step into that whole process, it seems to accelerate the progress. And there's, of course, always surprises along the way. We're looking at a technique that helps to circulate energy for the body. And that's what you'll feel. You'll feel the energy. You'll feel a stimulation in the body. But also, if the body is stimulated, a lot of times, if not always, the mind. And then also, it circulates within the life system. And that's how it can affect other things that you're trying to do. So having said that, I'm going to move into the actual practice, and this is a real basic practice, But another thing I found is that when we learn something, usually starting with the beginning point, the basics, but after we practice it for some time, we start to notice things, subtleties. And the way that we do it, even though externally may look the same, how we're actually applying it may be much more nuanced. And so what was a beginning practice now becomes more of an intermediate and advanced practice, even though the actual technique hasn't changed. The awareness in how we apply it is the thing that's changing. So what I like to do is to just sit quietly in the beginning. You can either sit cross-legged or sit up in seiza. And to make the back straight, let the arms raise up. Let the head fall back with an in-breath. When you breathe out, let the head float forward and let the arms float down. And you can just put your hands on your lap like this. The back is a little straighter now than it was before. And what I'd like you to notice is how your body feels. Very simple. Describe it in 5 words or less. Maybe you feel good. Maybe you feel balanced. But also maybe you feel heavy or stiff. Maybe you notice the right side more than the left side. And maybe there's some pain, maybe some aches. So just notice all those things. Feel your body. And just briefly also notice the space around the body. This space around the body, which we usually look at it as a kind of a void of physicalness, actually is the space where our energy system can be quite active. And if we extend our awareness out, we can also become aware of the room that we're sitting in. Sometimes I even extend out and notice the building or the area. But so the body and how it feels, does it feel symmetrical, balanced? Does it feel leaning, heavy, unstable, or positive, good? The space around, which is actually where a lot of the energy system is circulating, and the sensation of the environment that you're sitting in. So as we go through the Doin sequence, we're going to go back to this state of reflecting on how we feel and see if we notice any changes happening. Okay. Now I was doing that with my eyes closed. So first what we want to do is bring chi to the hands. And move them until they feel warm. Back of the hand. And the first thing, which in the beginning some people find very unusual, we're going to tap on the top of the head. Now you can start out just with your fingertips, lightly. Or you can just make a loose fist and do a little pounding, very light on the top of the head. Behind the ears, above the ears. You can switch back and forth with the fingertips. So you have a lot of flexibility in how you're doing it. Rub the hands again, get them warm. And now we're going to just rub the face, forehead, cheeks, next to the nose. And then with the fingertips, we're going to massage the forehead. Now there are acupuncture points and meridians that move through all these areas, and this kind of technique will stimulate those. We'll go to the temples and do a circular movement. And then we're going to go underneath the eye orbit, starting at the bridge of the nose and pressing up into the bony structure, and then moving our way out. Right about midway, you'll feel an indentation, and so you can particularly go there. Not only press in, but also give a little bit of a vibration. Good point for eyesight, and then continue out to the lateral part. Let's do that a couple of times. And if you feel a sore spot, stay there a little longer. Give it a little bit more attention. Most of the time, soreness or even painfulness, it's a signal from the inside of the body that something needs more energy flow. Something's getting stagnated or blocked. And when you spend more time, it responds and sends some energy or signal back to that place and helps to relieve the stagnation. Make your fingers like that, and then I'm going to press into the bone on the lower eye orbit. So as you can see, there's nothing difficult about this. It's just very thorough, going through all the areas. And then you have your cheekbone. With the thumbs, go under the cheekbone, start next to the nose, and then as you get about midway out, there's a big indentation related to the sinuses, so you can press in there, vibrate, relax, press in, vibrate, relax, press in, vibrate, and then continue out to the ears. Let's do that again. Starting next to the nose. I went all the way out this time, and then go to the big indentation, press and vibrate. Another thing that you can do, it's underneath the cheekbone, just very lightly tapping like this. Very light. Now next to the nostril, you also feel an indentation. You can use this, or your thumb, press in. Good for the sinuses also. A lot of times we'll relieve a blocked nose, stuffy nose. You can do this, press in, massage, vibrating, and release. Press in, massage, vibrate, release. Press in, massage, vibrate, release. And then do the other side. Press in, massage, vibrate, release. Press in, massage, vibrate, release. Again, press in, massage, vibrate, and stomach, intestines. Really try to get in there. This is where you might feel some sore spots as well. Remember to give a little more attention on the sore spots. And if it's too sore with the full pressure, then you can just do a lighter pressure, work with a sore spot, and then work your way in deeper. And go to the lower. And loosen the jaw, open the jaw. Go both directions, open, right, left. Stretch open. And another one that's very good for the digestive tract, with keeping the mouth closed, but making a circle with the tongue like this. And then reverse. A lot of times that'll bring up saliva, and so swallow the saliva hard. And saliva is an agent in the body that carries a lot of energy into the system. So when a lot comes up during the exercise, swallow it down. Okay, let's take the ears, pull on them. Start with the earlobe and then pull around. Classically, the ears are connected with the kidneys, but also the whole body as they kind of mimic the form of the fetus. And then this little flap called the tragus, press that in, press and release, press and release, press and release. With the thumbs underneath the chin, from the neck out, an area connected to the heart. You can press and massage, press, massage as you work your way from the neck out. Make the hands nice and warm. Really important for the metabolism is the thyroid, parathyroid. Make the hands nice and warm and then like this. Drop the head forward. Breathe in as you roll the head to the side and back. Breathe out as you roll to the other side. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. One more time, breathing in and breathing out. Let's go the other way, breathing in and out. In and out. In hands like this, and then we're going to tap on the back of the neck, right under the cranium, down to the shoulders, more to the back, a little bit to the sides. And then take your fingers like this and massage into the muscles along the side of the neck. Find a lot of connection here with the digestive system, the liver, the gallbladder. Do the other side. Good energy flow through the neck is also helpful for all the senses, the eyes, smell, taste, and then tap again. Okay. So now the shoulders. Loose fist. Tap. Try to reach back to the scapula on the front or the shoulder joint. Inside the shoulder in the front, and this is also a good point to massage. This is the lung 1 point. A lot of people have weakness there. A lot of people collapse their posture there. So bring the chi there. And let's do the other side. Lung point. Again. Of course, you can do more or less. All depends on how you feel, what you're trying to accomplish. Bring my arms up and drop, up and drop, up and drop. Breathe in rib cage. And so, like this, breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And you can also use the heel of the hands like this. Try to go really deep onto the sides. This is an area that doesn't get a lot of stimulation or attention. And then one of the most classic techniques for, particularly for fatigue, for vitality, loose fist, and here in the back. Pounding with the kidneys. Maybe pounding, maybe tapping, it's a better word. And then
can you move closer to the board?
Another one is like this, and pounding on the sacrum. Down on the coccyx. You can get your hands like this, so that that's going into the coccyx. Butt. Okay, now that was part A, let's say. And what we're going to do now is just sit, take a deep breath, and breathe out. And I want you to go back to what we did at the very beginning. Noticing how your body feels. Notice the sensation. And maybe also noticing the difference between the upper body and the lower body. The upper body, which is stimulated from what we just did, and the lower body that's waiting. And feel free to write in the chat if you have any interesting insights to what you felt, what you're feeling. First of all, do you feel different than in the beginning? Some people may feel more grounded, balanced, symmetrical, lighter. And if you felt good in the beginning, maybe you feel even better now. For myself, I feel much lighter. I feel less force from gravity. I feel much more upward moving. My body feels tingling. And when I bring my attention down into my feet and legs, of course I can tell they're there, but they just don't feel as present. They feel in a way like missing. So I'd really be curious to hear some responses from you all out there. And it could be interesting for the others that are joining us today as well. Okay. Keep your eyes open. Oh, I didn't say it twice now, but I always do this noticing of the body sensation and feeling. I always do it with my eyes closed, and oftentimes accompany it with an initial 2 or 3 breaths. So I didn't do that, but I would recommend it. Now, before we get to the hip structure and the legs and the feet, this is one of the most dynamic areas, the abdomen, or what a lot of you know as the Hara. And the Hara is considered ancient medicine and techniques, to be a microcosm of the whole body-mind. And so whatever we find in the Hara, we find also going on in the body, but also in the emotions and the life in general. So for me, it's one of the most direct and efficient ways to make change. Change in my condition, but also change in my environment, and change in my energy system, change in what's going on. Yep.
Do you want to hear a few people wrote?
Okay,
some
great. So we
feedback?
have a couple of comments.
Someone said they have a terrific sense of well-being. I'm feeling tingling in the upper body and lightness. My lower body feels present but almost asleep. And then someone said, I feel lighter and the upper body tingling and the energy moving.
Okay, so that's a nice sensation. Sounds like anyway. And that's similar to what I was noticing as well. So, how to work on this vital area, which may be the biggest opportunity we have, to upgrade our condition, let's say. So we're going to take our hands like this. We usually call this like a knife hand. Put it underneath the ribs, more toward the center. Breathe in. And as we breathe out, we move forward, and when we get to a certain point, our hands go onto the thighs, and then you push that knife hand, the tips of your fingers, underneath, and then massage. It's good for the liver, the gallbladder, the stomach. Breathe in and come up, and then we move about midway and come forward again. It's good for the diaphragm, transverse colon, and then we go all the way out to the edge. And here we have the hepatic flexure, the splenetic flexures, and the spleen on the left side. Go forward and let the fingertips go all the way under and massage. Now I'll show you, like I have my fingers under, I can massage, but I also can move my body. I can move it up and down like this. I can go right to left, I can circle. Be creative, be playful. Rock back and forth. Okay, now we're going to go inside the hip bones, the hip structure, going down, breathing in, breathe out, and this is the ascending colon, descending colon, ascending on the right, descending on the left. Again, massage. You can move the fingers like this, or you can massage in a circular movement. Different movements give you different effects. Breathe in and come up, and then like this, and right over top of the pubic bone. And as you breathe out, this is going to be directed at the bladder, for men, the prostate. Okay, then we're going to go down next to the navel, starting up here in the solar plexus. Breathe in, breathe out. Notice the quality, the consistency of the Hara in each area. Sometimes you feel like an emptiness, sometimes you feel hardness. Breathe in, and now right next to the navel, breathe out.
Do you have any suggestions if it's hard for someone to kneel?
They can sit in the chair. It's fine to sit in a chair and do this. And breathe in and come up. And now, over top of the pubic bone, maybe 3-4 inches apart. And don't forget that you can rock the body a little. You don't have to, but you can. Rocking back and forth all gets the stimulation going in different angles, different depths. So now we did it right, maybe, let's say 3-4 inches apart. Let's go now to maybe 6 inches apart. And we'll go down vertical again. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. So you're about 6 inches, the navel in between. And then go down further, right next to the pubic bone, hip structure. Deep in the lower part of the hara. In, come up. So you can repeat that at least 2 more times. But just for the sake of our lesson today, I'm just going to do it once, but I highly recommend that you do minimum 3 times. And take your time, enjoy the process. Now what we can do is just very lightly massage, rub the stomach. This is like grounding, centering. You can think of it like a spiral, starting at the peripheral part and then working your way in to the navel. And then you can just stay stationary and just hold. And we'll take a moment and notice how is our abdomen, the hara, the core. You may feel sensation there, but you also may notice a feeling of movement. A movement of ki circulating through all the abdominal muscles and organs. All right. Now, sometimes when you go to the noticing part, you might find yourself really going into a kind of an elevated state, like a meditative state. So there's no hurry to get to the next thing. And you could stop there too, if you really want to spend 5-10 minutes in that sensation, because it's very pleasant usually. It's very uplifting, but it's also informative. You learn a lot about your body, and you also learn a lot about your mind. You learn a lot about how you're feeling, which also leads you to emotional awareness. So I recommend that, to take time between each section and then notice how you feel, and if those sensations take you to a elevated state, stay in that state and see what it brings to you. Anyway, let's bring, I'm going to put my right foot out, my right leg out, and on the outside of the leg, just pound down, and on the inside, pound it up. We're going to do that 3 times. You can do more. And then on the top of the thigh, the quadricep muscle, stomach and spleen meridians are here. And then underneath, the hamstring muscles, the bladder meridian area, kidney meridian area. And then calf. Tibia bone. Now, a good place to stimulate is under the knee, like that. And there's not a lot of circulation in the kneecap, so it's really good to get in there and work that area. To try to get circulation more active. And that little bone, the patella, the kneecap, you can work with that. Push it around. It should have movement. It should be flexible. So those are really good ways to stimulate legs. You can also just take a hold of the whole calf and like that. You can use the fingers like the knife hand and go deep into the hamstrings, and you'll feel those muscle fibers, and you can do what's called transverse massage, going opposite to the direction of the fibers. So I'm going like this. Same thing with the calf. You can press into the back of the calf. Now this is going to be tender for a lot of people. When you go into the back of the calf, and you could show that sometimes that if a person is drinking too much liquid, it might be really tender back here. And you can also grab a hold of that muscle, calf muscle, and work it like that. Now if you go to the kneecap and the outside or lateral lower corner, and you go down like this, about the width of 4 knuckles. This is a very important point in acupuncture and acupressure. Stomach 36, the 1,000-mile point, considered to be a vitality point. Very good also for digestion and elimination. And for better elimination, you can massage this point actually till it gets numb or hot. Okay, so now what we're going to do is bring that leg, the same one that we just worked on. We're going to work on the ankle and rotate. And reverse. Full rotation. And then the heel. Go right from the corner, from the tip of the heel here, and there's a space or like an indentation, and massage deeply into that. Kidney and reproductive organs. And then if you go make a line straight through, use your fingertips, also massage that part on the direct opposite side. I like to stretch the top part like that. And then pull the toes back, which opens up this whole bottom of the foot, and pound. You have points and areas related to the whole body on the bottom of the foot. The spine, the organs, the meridians, right in the center of the ball of the foot, there's an indentation. This is kidney 1, and there's a lot of different connections to kidney 1. Grounding, of course, the kidneys, being stable, vitality, impetus. That means to get started, to be able to begin things, is kidneys. So you can press in and massage, you can do the vibrating and release, Something you can do when you're talking to someone, something you can do if you're watching a movie, even reading a book, working like this on your feet. Now if you pull the big toe back, on the instep, you'll feel a tendon pop out there. And so from the heel to the ball of the foot, and this is the renal system, kidneys and bladder. And so you can use both thumbs, you can massage, you can pound again like this. Sometimes you can, what I like to do is use the elbow like this. It's very penetrating. Okay, now the metatarsal bones are these bones along the top of the foot. And you notice that there's a space between. And so using your fingertips, squeeze in there. Squeeze in a little vibrating. You can do a few times like that. And then go between the next pair. And then the next pair. Okay. Now, the big toe, which is related to your balance, liver, spleen, energetically. And just hold here on the ball of the foot, stabilize, and then rotate. Loosen up. This is also good for relaxing stubbornness. Okay, then we go to the first toe. You can squeeze at the base. Work your way up toward the nail. And then rotate and give it a gentle pull out. You'll hear a little cracking sound. Next toe, the middle toe. Massage deep into that area at the base. And then rotate and a little pull. Fourth toe. Rotate, pull. And then the small toe. It's good sometimes to challenge yourself with the pressure. You don't want to hurt yourself, but also not always light. We want to penetrate. Rotate the small toe and then pull it. Loosen the whole bottom of the foot like that. You can just like this. Make it nice and warm. That's pretty thorough for the right leg, or for the one leg that you did. But before we go to the other leg and complete the whole sequence, let's put our feet out front. Take a deep breath. And when you breathe out, let your eyes close. Like I said, you could be sitting in a chair. You could even be standing, actually, for some of this. And compare the leg that you worked on to the leg that you didn't work on. Do they feel the same? Or do they feel different? And if they feel different, in what way? What's the quality difference, the sensation difference? And here's a nice experiment. Now, with the leg that you did not work on, lift that leg up off the floor And then go to the one that you did work on and lift that one up. See if it feels any different when you do the lifting. And of course, if you feel inspired, let us know in the chat. I felt a lot of difference. It was a lot easier to lift the leg that we worked on. Felt like a lot lighter, a lot longer actually. And I think I should do the other leg as well. So
I think someone wrote, I think it might be Catriona, wrote, the leg I worked on feels lighter in weight.
that's what I felt. Yeah. Okay, let's do the other leg. And we'll start with the pounding. Now I don't know if I'm going to get the sequence exactly the same. I'm going to try. And I'm going down the outside of the leg and up the inside of the leg because that follows the meridian flow. Pound on the top, on this quadricep. I might be doing it differently from the other side, I don't know. Pounding the hamstring underneath. The calf muscle. Let's go back to the top of the leg here. And I don't think I did this on the other side, but you can also go like this with the thumbs right into that muscle. And this muscle is oftentimes very tense. There's a lot of blood flow goes through this muscle, but it can become stagnated. The energy a lot of times isn't flowing well through it. So this helps to relieve that. The fingertips, you can go into the hamstrings. Again, look for the sore spots and stay there a little longer. If it's too sore, start more surface, work your way in deeper. Okay, and then with the thumbs we can press into the back of the calf muscle. So you can just use pressure and hold, pressure and stimulate, vibration, or circulate that. You can pound specifically right on the sides of the tibia. And then tap underneath the knee. Okay. You rub this top part until it becomes warm is the ideal result. And you can take hold of the patella or the kneecap, rotate it, rotate in the other direction. And what I like to do is grab the whole muscle like this. And then we can find this outer lower corner of the patella, the middle knuckle, and then right next to the tibia on the outside, you'll feel a groove there, and that's where the stomach 36 point is. Might be a little tender. So good for stimulating the energy, like if you feel fatigued, but also good for digestion. Okay. Now something I didn't do on the other side, the Achilles tendon. Take hold of that. And then just massaging, squeezing. You can also go into the fibers where it attaches down here on the heel. Just while we're at it, let's track back and get the other side. Okay. And then we'll cross this leg over and back out to the other side. And rotate. Nice full rotation. Reverse. Pull the toes back and pound. Okay, so let's go to these points on the heel, right in the center of the heel. Now, oftentimes these points can be tender. So you start at the surface, massage, or do the massage vibrating, and then work your way in deeper, so it's not a shock to the body. And then draw a line straight through the other side. Right in the center of the ball of the foot, kidney 1. And pull the toes back again and feel where this tendon pops out in the instep from the heel to the ball of the foot, following the path of the renal system, bladder, ureter, and kidney. Don't forget to play a little bit. You don't have to do this in a set, strict way. You could sometimes do it like that, but it's also to make variations, find different types of movements, different kinds of stimulation, pressure, and follow what the body's asking for. Okay, now we'll work these spaces between the metatarsal bones. So I'm just letting my fingers fall in that space, and then squeezing and working my way down to the toes. The next pair. Next pair. And then the final pair between the fourth and little toe. Take a hold of the big toe, rotate. Now the second toe, the index toe. And squeeze deep into the base of that. And work your way up to the end, and then you can hold like this, both, and then pull out. Now the middle toe. And don't forget, if there's pain or stiffness or soreness, it's the body asking for some help. It's asking for the stimulation. So stay on those spots a little longer. I know I'm repeating myself with that, but this kind of practice should be interactive. You're listening to your body and responding to your body. You're listening to what it needs. Fourth toe, and then this little toe. Squeezing, rotating, gentle pull. Okay, again we can pound. You can work this with the elbow. You don't have to do every step either. I'm just doing a very complete version here of the basic Do-in technique. You can leave steps out. You can not do things that you don't think that your body needs and stay longer on the things that you think the body does need. And this last one I think is really has a good effect where you just very gently rub and make the foot warm. Doesn't seem very penetrating physically, but energetically, I think it's very penetrating. Okay, so that's it. That's the complete Do-in. Let's go back to the beginning, where we started. Take a deep breath in. Slowly breathe out. A few times. It's good to breathe in through the nose, slowly, deeply. And breathing out. Now we'll go back to just feeling. How does the body feel? We can compare it to where we started. Does anything feel different? You can go to that space outside the body, where we have a lot of our energy fields circulating. And you may notice some interesting things there as well. And feel at the same time this outer energy body and also your physical body. And you may notice a more acute sense of the two together and more merged as one. Is it easier to sit now than it was in the beginning? And then, as we did in the beginning, notice the sensation of the room that you're sitting in. See if your feeling of the room has also been altered. Sometimes after you do the full body Do-in, you may notice that there's a sensation that you're touching the walls and the ceiling. Sometimes it feels like you're sinking into the floor. Or it may feel like you're floating. All right, then you could sit in that state as long as you like. If it's relaxing, if it's pleasant, if it's serene, calming, informative, then why hurry to do something else? Well, I'm going to open my eyes up now and go to the conclusion of today's class, if you want to call it that, our group session for some doing. It's such a valuable thing to have in your life. I learned this already when I was very early in my 20s, and I'd already studied some yoga. And I was also very athletic in my earlier teenage years. Played American football and a lot of baseball, boxing. But then I learned some yoga. But then Doin was like a opening of a whole world. It included breathing and making sound and some postures and stretches as well. But it was so focused on the moving of chi and how that moving of chi within your body then moves out and proliferates through the whole life system. And so I was really fascinated by it. And even though since that time I've learned many other forms of body movement, exercise, light body work, always going back to the basic doin. And as I mentioned before, the basic doin is not so basic after you've practiced it for a while. So invaluable tool. If you're doing it for yourself, great. But have some fun with it. Show it to some of your friends. And you don't have to be a teacher. It's such a simple thing, as you can see just now. If you're a therapist, then have a night once a month and teach your clients, because what you're going to notice if your clients do it, that it's like their homework between treatments or sessions, the progress starts to accelerate. And then it gives you a more accessible field to work with when they come to you for treatments. So I really highly recommend that you teach it to either friends or clients. There's a man in Italy, and right now I can't remember his name, but he wrote a book, Doin for Children. So it's something that you could really see that would be very playful for children, pounding on their shoulders, tapping on their head, but learning something for body awareness, body consciousness. So I'm going to just ask Lynn if she has anything that she'd like to say. Lynn is always doing the technical work for these live streams, and I thank you very much for that. So Lynn, do you have anything?
Well, Gina Marie said she had to go, but it always feels so good, thank you. Juja said, I feel more whole and one with my body and the room around me. And Catriona said, thank you, Saul. I feel much tenderness and carry for my own body. I love the class. Is there any way to get a recording? Catriona, there will be a recording right here on the YouTube channel, and I'll send out a link to that so that you can use it again and again if you want. I also felt so like this tenderness to nurture my body, especially working on my legs. I was really noticing like I haven't just held my legs in that way and massaged them in that way in a while. Would you suggest this as a good way, also an introduction, if someone's interested in the light body work, that they could do some doin first to help warm up and open the system?
Yeah, and then also meditation, because it will help the body relax and go into a state that's more conducive for meditation and light body work. And I think for clients that have like very defensive reaction to being touched, it'll help them to open up to touch more quickly if you can get them to practice it. I think it's a really great idea for practitioners to have a doin session once a month, once a week. And the ones that have done it have said that it's very successful, not only in getting better progress with the clients, but also for the success of the practice, because you're giving something to the people that's a tool for self-help, self-care. And there's things that happen when we take care of ourselves that cannot happen from any outside input. So it's a really interesting, unique practice in that way. Anyway, so any other things that you'd like to say, Lynn?
There's a flash sale on our online Hara courses, so if anybody wants to enroll, there's directions underneath the video. We're just always trying to share as much information we can and in the most economical way we can to people that are interested in using it for your health and those who you touch. So that's all.
Well, I'm really happy that people came out today and wanted to participate in doing Doin, because it's unique and it's really contributed so much to my life, and I know other people too that would say the same. So I wish everyone a great holiday, no matter where you are in this world. Next week we have a big holiday here in the States, and then of course the New Year's holiday, the Christmas holiday is coming up. So I wish everyone the best of times and good energy for the coming year. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.